Yo, what is going on, guys? Mobile Carrier News here. And T-Mobile is heading up to an early league in rural distribution. So basically, T-Mobile is, what they're saying is they're going to be improving their small areas, like small markets and rural areas, which is really great. I really hope that ever since that merger with Sprint, I'm pretty sure they can get those covered. And I believe they're up to 40% on this. It will still take a while for them to get everything up and running with the merger. They still have to convert a lot of stores from Sprint stores to T-Mobile. I'm pretty sure there's some Sprint stores, and some Sprint customers can still, get their thing situated. I'm pretty sure they still have their old plans, their old services, customer service. But they are planning to switch those to T-Mobile stores early on, and as possible. So, and I'm glad T-Mobile is working on this, because small markets and rural areas are the areas that won't really have much coverage, or they're going to be improved drastically. But I really do believe T-Mobile needs to also work on their huge markets and the whole areas, like the city, the town. Well, not really the town, because that's rural. They really need to focus on the city, like big cities. Even if it's like smaller or half of what, like, for example, San Diego or LA is, or some places in Oregon, Texas, all 50 states. They really need to focus on that as well, especially the coverage, because it's still going to take a while. It's going to take like probably 2 to 3 years. So like I said, convert all the Sprint towers for their 2.5 gigahertz and turn that into T-Mobile coverage. Whether it's LTE or 5G, they need to definitely focus on that. The improvements are really good. I just really hope, from my experience from T-Mobile, it's pretty good, especially in my area in California. However, I do believe they still need to be focusing. I know 5G, everyone's bragging about 5G. It's the next generation of wireless. Where, like, don't get me wrong on that. However, I do believe T-Mobile does need to focus more. As you can see right now, I'm on LTE. They need to crank up and tune in their LTE a little more before their 5G, because right now 4G, it's still like, I know T-Mobile was late to the LTE game, but I believe they still need to improve it, because in some areas I am getting 100 to almost 230 megabytes per second down or up, regardless of what it is. And in other areas, I'm still getting very low speeds. I'm getting 10 to only 25 megabytes per second download or upload speed, and the highest I'll get is like probably 50. And I really don't think T-Mobile is, I don't think that's a good thing for T-Mobile, because they need to keep improving their speeds. LTE is fast. I'll admit that. LTE is still pretty fast. You can download some content, some video streaming, some apps, all the things you need for LTE. However, T-Mobile's LTE right now is, I would say, far from perfect. I would say they still need to keep improving, still need to keep upgrading their towers, switching old equipments to new equipments, because I feel like they still have old equipments. And I just don't think that's a good idea for T-Mobile to have, like, old equipments. The network's not going to perform as great as you think it is. It's literally going to be as slow as I mentioned, like 20-40 megabytes. 20-40 megabytes per second down or upload. And I really don't believe they have I believe they have something million customers, maybe 100 or 300 mil, which is a lot of customers. And believe me, all those customers are not going to want the speed. Maybe some will care, maybe some won't. But I believe the customers deserve faster data speeds and faster coverage and connection, especially right now, because we're in 2021. We're quickly shifting to 2024 and 2025, and T-Mobile is projected, or promising. I wouldn't say promise, because a lot of promises aren't kept. I would say projecting. So I'm going to say they're working on it. Working on having a lot of LTE coverage spectrum, 4G and LTE, and 5G, and their ultra capacity and extended 5G wideband. I really hope they also plan on extending their LTE. I don't know if there's a thing that exists called extended LTE or LTE range, but they really need to crank up the tunes with increasing their service, because T-Mobile is right now in the short term they're going to be behind short term wise, but the long term I see a very promising future for T-Mobile. Long term they're going to be pretty good with 5G and some LTEs if they can improve it. I really want them to improve it, especially their spending. They're not spending a lot of money on their service as I want them to. This is literally my opinion. People have other opinions on this, but T-Mobile is, I believe they're spending $5 to $7 billion, which is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, that is a lot of money to improve your service, whether it be any service, wireless, any company is spending money to make not only more money but to also improve the service that you're giving, because that's how a business works. AT&T and Verizon are currently spending, I believe, $18 to $20 billion a year to improve their service. That's why they're number 1 and 2. You know which ones? Verizon number 1, AT&T number 2. That's where they're the big dogs. They're the top carriers that people would want to go to. Verizon has the best coverage, and AT&T has the best speeds. It's vice versa. T-Mobile is the third. They're in third place at the moment. You know, I'm not saying they're bad, but they really need to be spending more money. $5 to $7 billion a year is not enough. That is very minimal spending right now. That is so little spending. If I was the CEO of T-Mobile, I would not be spending $5 to $7 billion. That's so little. And if my competition is spending $18 to $20 billion improving their service, I wouldn't be spending that. I wouldn't be spending so little. Like $5 to $7 billion. That's like very. I don't want to say it's cheap. That's just like. That's very low. That's more low than my competition. I understand they're trying to build out their 6 megahertz because 6 megahertz coverage will definitely increase the indoor speeds of like towers, like in my home, for example. It's it will be good indoors, but your spending needs to be more up to par. I honestly, if I was the CEO, like I said, I would be spending at least $30 to $60 billion. I know that's a lot of money, and if I was a CEO, that might be a little too much. I'm not sure how much capital T-Mobile has, or all three carriers how much they have. They have a lot of money. I guarantee you. I'm pretty sure they can't go broke. However, I would be spending $30 to $70 billion. Or at least way more than what my competition is doing, because that's just very little spending. I'm sorry, that's not enough to compete and just be, in the top notch of the business and what you're trying to provide for customers, services, and coverage. I just really believe T-Mobile needs to step it up. Don't get me wrong. They will improve their small markets and rural areas. I just hope they really spend more money, because $5 to $7 billion is nothing. AT&T and Verizon are spending $20 billion, and that's way more than expected. So I really hope by next year they start spending at least $30 billion and really get their service up to speed, because if they don't, they're just going to be third place. Regardless, it doesn't matter if they merge with Sprint, they're going to be last place. They're not going to be on top notch. Their marketing is too hyped right now. They're saying, oh, we have the fastest speeds, we're this and that. We have the best networks, we have the fastest LTE. You can't say your LTE is fast if I'm getting 20 to 40 megabytes per second and LTE has been here since 2012. Sorry, that's just lying to me. I really hope T-Mobile gets their head in the game, and we'll see what happens in 2025, 2026. I'm very curious what will happen in 2026 with these guys, especially T-Mobile. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.